Good evening, everybody. This is Steve Fletcher with the Trumpet for My People. This is October 15, 2021. This is a major news update here. Breaking news story. Emergency alert. RT News is reporting, and here we have the story. U.S. Treasury Department Secretary warns unvaxxed Americans that shortages will continue until everyone is jabbed. Okay, we knew this was coming. We knew this would be their solution, okay, to the shortages that are taking place. But here it is, front and center. Here's the news headline for you, okay? This is major news, folks. This is a emergency alert update. This is the final nail in the coffin of the United States. You are watching the end of an empire, the end of the United States. Babylon, as we know it, is fallen. Babylon the Great is fallen. Here it is. These shortages will continue until everyone gets jabbed. And we know that not everyone is going to get jabbed because they don't have, their plan is not going to work. Okay. Their plan is not going to work. And so they are declaring to everyone that if people do not get the jab, then these shortages will continue. This is the end of America. The Deputy Secretary at the U.S. Treasury has put Americans on notice that the only way to end the plague of empty shelves around the country is for every resident to be vaccinated. The frank warning came off as a threat to many. Wally Adeyemo, the Biden administration's second highest official in the Treasury Department, appeared to publicly blackmail the still sizable portion of Americans who have not been vaccinated against COVID-19 during a Thursday ABC interview, seemingly blaming them for the ongoing shortages of consumer goods that have led many to mock the president as Empty Shelves Joe. Despite viral photos depicting thousands of cargo ships lined up at the port of Los Angeles ready to unload their goods, Adeyemo claimed that the supply chains issues plaguing so many U.S. retailers are an international issue and will only let up when a sufficient percentage of the country has been vaccinated. Okay. All of these ships, we've talked about the ships and the shortage that is taking place throughout the United States because of this shipping crisis. Describing the disastrous economic conditions as an economy that's in transition, Adeyemo acknowledged that we are seeing high prices for some of the things that people have to buy. While he praised the administration's stimulus payments, he also pinned the blame squarely on the unvaccinated. The reality is that the only way we're going to get to a place where we work through this transition is if everyone in America and everyone around the world gets vaccinated. Satan is such a loser. While the ABC reporter repeatedly suggested that the country's shortages of toilet paper and other panic buy items could be traced to international supply chain disruptions, a growing number of Americans are demanding answers regarding the weirdly specific nature of certain products missing from store shelves. Some have even voiced doubt concerning whether the shortages are being introduced deliberately, either to gin up hatred against the unvaccinated or keep Americans economically off balance as they grow accustomed to the wild disruptions of the pandemic. Okay. To gin up hatred against the unvaccinated. They said it there. Adeyemo did the Biden cabinet no favors by adding fuel to the conspiratorial fire, explaining the primary reason Biden continued to push for everyone to be vaccinated was that only then could the White House provide the resources the American people need to make it to the other side of the supply chain problem. Despite blaming the international shipping industry for empty shelves in the U.S., the media establishment has acknowledged that the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach, which together process 40% of the nation's imports, had their busiest years on record last year, giving the lie to the notion that the products missing from American shelves simply don't exist. However, many truckers working for shipping companies have balked at the idea of mandatory vaccination, leaving their firms' fleets woefully understaffed, and others have gone on strike to demand better working conditions. The Biden administration has attempted to address the supply chain problem by calling for the Port of Los Angeles to run 24 hours, but while he praised his own promised move as a game changer, the executive director of the port has made it clear that there is no timetable in place for the promised schedule shift. Meanwhile, Biden's cabinet has come across as woefully out of touch. White House Chief of Staff Ron Klain, for example, poo-pooed the issue of empty shelves as a high-class problem earlier this week, eliciting criticism from both left and right. And Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg has been quietly vacationing on paternity leave since mid-August, leaving the country without even a semblance of logistical oversight as the cargo clog shows no signs of dissipating. Labor shortages are being felt far behind the U.S., though often for similar reasons. In Italy, thousands of protesters turned out to block cargo ships from unloading their bounty earlier this week. The demonstrators were outraged over the country's adoption of a mandatory vax-to-work policy, similar to that threatened by the Biden administration. And the UK government has begged lorry drivers to return to work, even luring foreign drivers in with temporary visas as the country frets over its own empty shelves issues. Australian truckies have united with other unions to exert pressure on the government, which has kept cities like Melbourne under lockdown for months, despite vanishingly few reported cases of COVID-19. The government was already floating policies like no jab, no job over a year ago, and has led the way in leveraging the pandemic to turn Five Eyes democracies into police states. Okay? All right, so here's the problem. Here's the problem. Okay, they started out with California and New York as mandatory vaccination sites. Okay, all of California and all of New York. Well, these are the two biggest ports in the United States. And so between California, Los Angeles, Long Beach, and New York City, okay, every trucker that goes into those locations has to be vaccinated. And every driver of these ships that comes into port has to be vaccinated. Okay, so they can't get into the port if they're not vaccinated. Truckers can't get in. Okay, this is all fabricated. This is all a setup. This has all been planned. It's a sabotage, okay, on the American people, which we've told you is coming. You know, I mean, this is the prophecy that is happening before our very eyes for those who still think we're not yet in the tribulation. How far into the tribulation are we? I mean, the Antichrist is ready right now to come onto the scene. They're going to need a solution for this very quickly, and they're going to need a solution exactly after the rapture of the church, which is going to be very, very soon. Because they are pushing now. I mean, this is famine. This is revolution, civil war, everything that is going to come out of this. And I think any day now we're going to see them roll out the guillotines. It may even happen before the rapture of the church. I would not be surprised if we end up seeing them start rolling out the guillotines. We may see the 10 days of persecution even before the rapture of the church. I mean, we're cutting it close now. October 15th. Well, anyway, this message, this report is coming out October 15th. Now, we have been talking about October 15th, October 16th, as the final warning leading up to the day of the flood. This is the day, between today and tomorrow, is the day that Noah is on the ark. Okay? This is what we're watching in the Hebrew calendar. And October 24th is 1,260 days from May 14th, 2018. And they planned this out through the CLADE pandemic exercise that we've been talking about in our previous messages. I'll leave those links for you. We've been talking about the Antichrist covenant that was made on the same day as the 70th birthday of Israel, May 15th, 2018. Between May 14th and May 15th, because Israel was declared a an, an independent nation at midnight on May 14th. So it's May 14th and May 15th. Well, exactly on the 70-year anniversary, they had the CLADE X pandemic exercise where all of this was planned. And now, 1,260 days later, we're coming up to a time where they are now threatening the American people that the shortages are not going to end until everyone is vaccinated. Okay, well this is we have known this is coming. Okay, I mean it shouldn't surprise me. It shouldn't surprise us. But they're doing this fast. They know that their time is short. I mean they know their time is short. So this news coming out on this day, right now, is very. I mean this is a major update and a major warning. All right. Okay. Be ready, guys. The Lord is on his way. Don't give in to the pressure. Don't lose your crown. We're almost to the finish line. Hold on for dear life. Jesus is coming for his church. I pray you guys are blessed. This is Steve Fletcher with the Trumpet for my people. The sign of his coming revealed.